Almost everything that we do at Trent is only possible because so many of you have committed to give generously to the work and the ministry of the church. We are so grateful for those of you who invest financially in this way. So let's take a look now at how your investment in God's work here has been used. Before we get into the breakdown, let's just look at what are the headlines. The church's financial year runs from July to June, so all the charts and information I'm about to share with you represent the situation up until the 30th of June 2023. Now, as John Wright explained in the February 2023 Vision Talk, we're currently in a financially challenging season as a result of increased costs associated with things like utilities and other consumables, and increases to the living wage, which affects our staff costs. Our finance team and the trustees have therefore anticipated and budgeted for a deficit during the 2022 to 23 financial year. In other words, we expected during this year that our outgoings would exceed our income and require us to use some of our reserves to balance that out. The bottom line was that was essentially how the year panned out. The only difference being that the actual deficit was substantially smaller than the one we budgeted due to increases in giving, a great performance from our trading team, and careful management of ministry budgets. So that's the headlines. Let's look at a little bit more detail. And then at the end, I'm going to touch very briefly on how things are looking 7 months on from this at the time of this recording. It's currently February 2024 today. So first, let's look at the income. The total amount which came in this past year was just over £2.5 million. 74% of that was regular giving, which came in through the bank by standing order. And as you can see, most of our income comes in this way. If you are giving and you are able to give by standing order, it really helps us with our budgeting and planning. 2% is what we call other giving, including one-off gifts that come in through the website and the bank. 16% is gift aid. This is tax reclaimed from the inland revenue on most of what is given. And then 7% is the profit from our trading activities that's gifted to the church. This includes external organisations using the warehouse for conferences, our conferencing business, the bar trading and the coffee shop. 1% is other income, which includes interest on our savings. It's encouraging that regular giving grew by 4% during this year, with many church members continue to join us and give online. Overall income for the church in 2022-23 was up 11% compared to the previous year, primarily due to the contribution from trading activities. So now let's take a look at how this money has been used. Including what we gave away, we spent just over £2.6 million. Despite a lot of care being taken to keep expenditure down, factors such as the cost of utilities and inflation have meant that this is 11% more expenditure than the previous year. The figures for each of these groups include the costs of staff dedicated to that area and the direct costs of making these ministries happen. Spread across each of these groups proportionately are general costs such as finance, IT and admin, and the cost of upgrading and enhancing facilities and equipment. So let's look at how that breaks down. 21% of our total expenditure, which amounts to 22% of our total income, is what we call set apart, money that is to be given away or spent on activities and things that benefit those outside the church. This set apart expenditure includes our compassion ministries, overseas mission, blessing the community and other outward looking areas. And also includes the financial gifts that we make to other churches, charities and needs. It also includes our giving to the National Vineyard movement. 27% was spent on our facilities, including areas like upgrading and maintaining all of our buildings and our mortgage and utilities costs. 27% is everything we spend on making our Sunday services happen, such as worship, sound and media, Sundays, kids and youth activities and refreshments. And then 20% is spent on our midweek ministries, including areas like small groups, pastoral care, kids and youth midweek activities, marriage and family events, and young adults. 5% was then spent on training and equipping, such as discipleship courses and investing in the development of leaders. So overall, we spent £150,000, which is about 6% more than came in during this financial year, which, as mentioned a moment ago, is less than the deficit we budgeted, which was actually £250,000. Let's look at how they compare. Over the life of the churches, the finances have been managed very carefully, allowing healthy levels of reserves to have been built to carry us through trying times like these. We are so grateful to God for his provision and our team, along with our trustees who are doing all that we can to carefully manage our expenditure. Now, just as a reminder, everything that I've spoken about so far relates to the last financial year up until June 2023. However, as things stand 7 months on, the reality is that we remain in a challenging financial environment. Our income remains strong as a result of committed giving and the conferencing team's ongoing great performance in the post-COVID era. However, the factors that impacted on the church last year, the cost of living costs, utility prices, interest rates, have largely continued into this current financial year. And I think that we'd all recognise these cost pressures on our own personal budgets. Therefore, we anticipate that we will have to dip into our reserves again this and to some extent in coming years to fund that shortfall. Now, the reassurance here is that this has been anticipated and accounted for in the trustee-approved budget before the start of the financial year that we're currently in. And so we remain hugely grateful for the generosity of the church over the years, which means that our reserves remain in a secure position and that we are able to chart a course through these turbulent financial times back towards a balanced, sustainable church budget. Thank you to those of you who are committed to giving regularly to the church. If you are yet to regularly give, I would seriously encourage you to ask the Lord whether he wants you to start giving financially. Or for those of you that are currently giving, to seek the Lord on whether it's time to increase the amount that you're giving. And if so, take action on that. And also, if you are a UK taxpayer, we'd also encourage you to notify us if you are happy for us to claim gift aid, as this enables us to claim 25 pence for every pound that you give. You'll find all the details on how to do all of this at trentv.org/give. And if you do make any changes to your giving, it'd be really helpful if you could email giving@trentvineyard.org to let the finance team know. If you have any questions about the finances, you're welcome to ask any of our trustees. The website page with them, with their details, can be found at trentv.org/trustees. Or if you forget that link, just go to the bottom of the website's homepage and click on Affiliation and Accountability. Thank you so much for listening.